called Soul Alone by Hannah Baker. I meet your eyes. You don't even see me. You hardly respond when I whisper hello. Could be my soulmate, two kindred spirits. Maybe we're not. I guess we'll never know. My own mother, you carried me in you. Now you see nothing but what I wear. People ask you how I'm doing. You smile and nod. Don't let it end there. Put me underneath God's sky and know me. Don't just see me with your eyes. Take away this mask of flesh and bone and see me for my soul alone. Thank you. And next up is Amanda.
Hi, Amanda. The poem that I'm going to read is named Angle and is written by me. She feels so cold when she talks about her past. She has this blank stare that she feels she does not know if others see it. Her parents said when they talk to her about why she gives up every time she has that stare. But they don't know that she's not giving up. She's just tired of the bullshit. Tired of them calling her lazy. She's not lazy. She's hurt. She's tired of the name calling. She's sick of hearing these empty threats every semester. They say she doesn't get it, but they don't know. She does not get why she feels like crying, but when she has that feeling around people, it won't come out. It took her a long time to get that feeling out. She would only allow it to show to that one person, but with others she can't, and gets pissed off when she leaves. Then she would cry. Why does this have to happen to her? Sorry, the next person is Megan.
Okay, so I wrote this poem with one of Laurie's prompts, and to give a little background, it's basically how the relationship between my mom and I strengthened after my dad left. So, New York City called your name. Yes, go and conquer the world. Be my role model. Mommy, take my hand. We don't need him to find happiness. We don't need him to find love. We were sisters in a past life. You were the older sister and Grandma was our mother. Be my sibling, my mentor, my rock. My Audrey Hepburn, my Geraldine Ferraro. My Mother Teresa, my everything. Next up is This is a poem written by my grandma to my grandfather in 1965, and it's called God's Greatest Love. I know there's a God in the heaven above, for he once gave me a real true love. He sent to this earth the golden book, and from the gold pages this love he took. He placed this love deep in my heart, knowing that soon it would fall apart. He left me with memories I can't express. He left me blue and full of emptiness. He takes this love with him wherever he goes. I know in his heart this love still grows. I still feel God meant this love to be, for it was the greatest love for me. He watches over it day and night. He protects this love from any wrong. For like him this love is strong. An angel one day he'll send to this earth to show the world what love is worth. He'll shine a light straight at my heart, then this great love again will start. This time to last through eternity, and through the years, the greatest love to be. I know one day I will walk down the aisle, and on his face will be a sacred smile. His vows I will take and keep through the years, and always remember him in my prayers. I will always cherish God up above, for I know in my heart I have God's greatest love. I'll raise my children as I think he would, and teach them about him the way I should. They will grow up respecting his prayers, and to always treasure them through the years. For they know, too, that one day God will send a great love their way. Deep in God's heart, He knows our love will someday be with Him above. He knows His love will never fade away because my great love for people to see just how great a love can be. I am so glad and thank God up above that He chose me for His greatest love. And up next is Danny.
Hi, my name's Danny, and this is a poem written by me, given by a prompt about, like, imagine the closest person to you, like if they weren't there anymore. And I wrote about my mom. With every passing year, you always looked as a young woman in her early 30s. The long, luscious, straight black hair, it never changed nor withered. Like that pure, strong heart attached to your chest. Eyes full of love and care. You seemed the mother of many. How you cared for others so vibrantly, no one will compare. The presence you brought was brighter than the sun. You were like the spring season. Everything sprouted and came to life when you were around. God made a perfect angel in you. Now you're in everyone's heart, going to the next part in life. Where you will transform into an even more beautiful being, a one-of-a-kind guardian angel.
And this poem I wrote 3 years ago, and I just felt like bringing this out again. So it's Who is your son? And here it goes. Every day sun wakes up to please you with all comfort, provides the warmth you need, stays there all day long. Doesn't matter if you can't see, maybe the clouds are thick. Somewhere deep within, you know sun is right where he used to be. You are beautiful, sun loves your spirit, your charming soul. You deserve every good thing. You're the most precious of all. Sun makes sure you have everything, praises your glorious life. He provides you a wedding ring, asks you to be his wife. Warmth is all the happiness will give the world has ever seen. Sun, he wants to be there for you as long as the time has been. I promise that you won't be lost, neither you will lose him. Every time you need me there, look up in the sky to see me. By now, you know that the sun is me, the son of all the gods. Don't ever fall apart, I'm looking down on you even in thunderstorms. Just believe me that I'll always be the one who will never leave. I'll be the sun you need, the sun who will revolve around you. You'll be the center of my galaxy and the universe too. Thank you. And Ms. Byro is willing to take some questions, so I'd like to invite everybody.
Anybody have a question?
When did you start writing? How long ago was it, and what made you start?
I started writing short stories probably when I was about 23, and I ended up in a community college class when I was 30, and I didn't want to write poems because I thought poets jumped into lakes and were crazy people. But he got me writing poetry, and really, I became obsessed about it. I wanted to know every poet that there was, and I started reading the contemporaries and writing, and so then I would turn different impulses. Didn't know anything about William Shakespeare. I wanted to learn more, so I started reading the plays to get a poem out of it. So I wanted to know more about myths. I didn't really know that much about them, and I wanted to learn more about that. So I wanted to try to bring the personal into, contemporary literature in a way. If that makes sense. You know, like I say, every poem I write is kind of truth on the slant. There's parts of me in there, but then there's parts of me that's hidden because we don't want to share too much of what we feel. So, I mean, when my dad was sick, for example, right? I was told at one point that I was like all three daughters to his King Lear. Okay? And I got that, because at times I was very impatient with him. So it made me write about King Lear being on the dole, because I thought, easy to do, right? Easy to turn that story into something funny. Tonight I was reading a lot of sad poetry, but there's a lot of humor in my work, really. You just don't, it's not coming through tonight, but there really is. I mean, you'll attest to that. The students kind of know, they had different ideas about what they were going to read, and you get up and you just get a different, the night also belongs to the audience as well as to the writer. So we just wing it. Does anybody else have a question?
You seem to integrate a lot about your personal life as related to stuff that you've read.
Yeah. I do. I do that, and I try to, at one point, I think Ms. Miller had said to me something about faith and how it informs my poetry. It's kind of hard to explain it because I'm wearing Buddha, I guess, right? But I wear crosses, and I've done the Day of Atonement. I like all different religions, and so I like to feel that. I was brought up Lutheran, so I kind of feel that, you don't have to, you can have a direct line with God. And so my mother, who was brought up Catholic, felt it was irreverent for me to do what I do, which is raising this, Lazarus. I didn't raise him, but sending him off to Cyprus and writing a story about that. And I just look at it like that's like fun, We don't know really who wrote the Bible and how exact it was, right? So there's a lot of myth to that, and so I want to make what I write infused with faith, but my own faith, if that makes sense.
Well, it makes a lot of sense.
Thank you. I don't want to embarrass George, but he was a priest at one point in his career. So.
Well, I think it's very rich, and it fits in very nicely with the idea of God being if there is a God, and being in everything, and especially in our heart.
Right. And since I was brought up Lutheran, my pastor, it was very easy for me to be what, some people would be irreverent and be like, you're annoying me today, God. I'm not happy with what's going on here. But I always had a conversation. So, does that help at all? Anybody else? Yeah.
What would be some characteristics you would give yourself?
I think I'm funny. But looks are and everything. I want to be a good friend to people, and I want to be honest. I'm a truth teller because of my poetry. I want to tell the truth, but like I say, I want to do it on the slant, because I found out through many hard experiences, work-wise and otherwise, school-wise and everything else, that if you are totally honest, you get in trouble for that. I mean, right? So it's better sometimes to kind of like embellish a little bit, and my dog ate my homework, rather than say, really, I was just having a crisis. I called up one of my friends, and she's laughed at me because I say to her, look, I'm having this poetry crisis, this poetry, and they're like, what is a poetry crisis? What are you talking about? But it's like anything else. If you're stuck for something or you can't move forward with something, it is a crisis at that time. It's almost like a crisis of faith, because you feel like an amateur, like, why are you doing this? Nobody's going to listen to me anyway, and I'm not that good at what I do. So you've gotten me sidetracked, but that's, I said to them at the first session, I said, guys, I'm like a kite. You need to grab hold of my tail and just, see if we can pull me back, rein me back in, because I go 5 different ways. But one of the poems we were talking about what he thought, and in it he's talking about his equivalents, and one was glib, and one was a scholar, and one was. So I was saying to the group, how difficult is it to put one word on you and say I'm the conservative, or I'm the academic. It depends on where we're at that moment in our lives, At this moment, I'm the poet, maybe a failed one, but that's what I am. But, the description is kind of interesting, right? And I wanted them to think about that, because we're different things for different people. Thanks for asking that. That's a good question. Yes?
I came in a little after.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you, out of all the poems that you have written, which one of them, out of all of them, which one would you pick and recommend to people of all ages, and why?
That's a tough one.
Like, which one would you say that people should, I don't know, read
To
it?
read? I don't know. When we're practicing with this,
Or maybe-
my mother's poems is pretty good. When we're practicing ahead of time, I was like I said, I was getting a kick out of the Toff and the Roof Tyler's Daughter, and maybe I should just read it so you understand. I'm proud of that poem for the fact that I had a crush on the poet laureate of Great Britain. His name was Andrew Motion. And so somebody said to me at one point, I'm 58 years old, and they're like, when I was about 50 and I had this crush, he said to me, well, why don't you put the relationship in a way that you can explain to people this thing? And so I thought I'd be really funny and make it like Charlotte Bronte kind of. And so I made him the Toff, and I was the Roof Tyler's Daughter, because he's in a higher class than I would be, right? He's up there. So I wrote this poem, and it's, when I rock back and forth on the edge of the roof, I keep my balance at the precipice of all things known and unknown. I bundle up a sack of fancy words to expel into the wild air. Below me I see his elocutions hanging on the line: chiffon, lavender, hibiscus, periwinkle. I follow my father, his blue chambray shirt, salted and whirled like a sea snail under each tanned arm. I wade in secret marshes. I should have averted my eyes. From a leafy riverbed I will force my love to see me as uncommon. From a slippery ledge his heart will race to keep up with mine. I'll unbutton his shirt and threaten him with the whole world. My father's clanging batons and cutters when I clearly want ledgers and ink. A shudder will somehow loosen as each new tile sets. I will blow the rounded horn, announce the hunt. He straddles his fine horse. His ruffled lace cuffs muffle the pulse on his wrists, which smell when I kiss them of lavender. I am in danger of disappearing into the curlicue depths as his hairs glint foxy red in the sun, me with my superior view off Daddy's porch, with its latest conquest as we put lamb and bread on the table. So at that moment when I wrote that, I thought that was pretty funny, because I'm making fun of myself, and I'm explaining that Andrew Motion is, different type than I am. And I don't know if that helps, but I think that at various times we have different loves of what poems we write. And everybody can identify to having a crush on someone. And this is totally inappropriate because, like I say, he's the poet laureate of Great Britain, and I'm the poet laureate of Allendale. And married, and all the other
There's a
things.
reason why I announced that.
Yeah. Right? So I was saying to my friends, because they were like, oh, get over it. Go to a 12-step meeting and get over this, because it was embarrassing. And I was like, oh, can't we be like two laureates in love? And they're like, no, he doesn't know who you are, and get over yourself. So at that moment when I wrote that poem, that was my favorite poem, because I just thought it was hysterically funny. Even the name, the Toff and the Roof Tyler's Daughter, right? All right. Anybody else? Yes.
Okay, when you write poetry over a long period of time, it's almost like a beautiful diary, because you're getting words out, but it's like chronicling feelings or events.
Yes.
And as a poet who's written for a while, when you look back at some of the things you've written, and because you write on a slant, can you remember the feelings? How do you feel when you're looking at an old poem? Does it say, wow, that was good? Oh my God,
Yeah.
that feeling? Or do you remember? And how does it affect what you write in the future?
That's a good question. I think that because this book is probably 20 years worth of work, okay? And I have changed it in various ways as time went on, and some of the poems never made it to this final one, because as you're saying, when I'm looking back, sometimes it like puts me off my poem. I'm like, how did I'm embarrassed. I actually just recently, and I shouldn't admit this because people yell at me when I tell them, but I just burned about 4,000 poems. They weren't poems. They were early attempts that were embarrassing. And not that I ever think I'm going to be that famous, really, but I just didn't want someone later on to find them and say, it was like worse than being juvenile. I mean, just horrible, you know what I mean? So I thought I couldn't write that badly at that point, but I could. And so that's another thing, that we all have to give each other permission to make mistakes and to evolve, because you don't know. At times when I go back, the ones that have held up, some of them, like Salt, my friend Mitchell says that will be the poem that I'm most known for in 20 years, because he just feels that it shows through the eyes of an adult, how a child felt during that time. And again, I wrote that in a time where my mother was alive, my father was alive. Couldn't share that really with them until later on, And so yeah, it's like a relationship. It's kind of like a relationship with the dead almost. People think that when someone dies that you don't have a relationship with them anymore. And that's not true. I think you do. And sometimes it's better, and sometimes it's worse.
It still defines you.
Yeah, I hope that helps. Anyone else? No? Okay.
You bring a lot of characters from all around literature into your work.
Yes.
How much does what you read inform what you write?
Oh, absolutely. And that's why when I'm doing Circle of Voices for 15 years now, we don't do amateur hour, and I put myself in that category as well. I mean, you could say Emily Dickinson was a hobbyist, right? I mean, so I was told once, and I like to name drop once in a while, but Robert Hass at the time, he actually, when I met him, he was the poet laureate. And I had gone around because my name is Laurie, and people were calling me the poet laureate. Small Laurie. So I kind of fessed up to Robert Hass, and I said, oh my God, I've been saying I'm the poet laureate. And he said, my friends call me the poet laundromat, so whatever you want. And so at times, through the years, whenever I see him at a poetry festival, I talk to him about it. And he said to me, you know what, Laurie, if you have, because that one after Robert Hass, he actually read that back to me and said, this is beautiful, and it's beautiful on the page, and I don't mind you borrowing my idea to do it. But he, what was the question? I'm going to get sidetracked.
How much is what you read?
Yeah. He told me years ago, he said, if you've got 2 hours to dedicate to your writing, spend it reading. Don't spend it writing, because you'll never improve. And so sometimes I get on a fury of writing and getting published and whatnot, but then there are times to gather, and so I give myself little assignments. So the Gertrude Stein, I didn't know much about her, and I came up with this whole dialogue about Alice B. Toklas and the paintings talk to the room and different things like that. So now I'm on a new kick, and I don't even want to say what it was in case I fail at it. I mean, really. But I do have another kind of salon, kind of idea of characters that I can bring. And so I'm going to spend probably 2 or 3 months reading about these characters, because I didn't know a lot about, I knew nothing about Shakespeare and Odysseus, and, till I started reading about it. So yes, if you guys have a chance to read or write, read. None of us will know what our abilities are until we do something for a long time, and I've been doing this for 25 years. That doesn't make me better than anyone, but it means that, you're dedicating yourself to it, and reading can only inform your work in a positive way. So, yes.
How about a funny poem?
I don't have a funny poem. You want me to read the Whiny Honey
Yeah.
Blues? I know you do.
I know.
I wrote a poem for my gastroenterologist. There's a famous poem, I do not love you, Dr. Fell, the reasons why I cannot tell, but this I know and know full well. So I'm sitting in the bathtub after a colonoscopy, and I do not love you, Dr. Schlein, you're always up in my behind. I hate to be a bitter wine, I do not love you, Dr. Schlein. I do not love you, Dr. Rearf. You poke and prod for what, I fear? Is Joseph Mengele waiting near? You went to torture you, I hear. I do not love thee, Dr. Jaime, that thing so long and I'm so tiny. Haven't you reached my eyeballs finally? I do not like this, Dr. Jaime. I think I'd like you, Dr. Schlein, if just this once you would decline and check instead. This face of mine, I grow to love you, Dr. Schlein. Well, I really have a Dr. Schlein. And I mailed him the poem. And he said to me, he wrote me back, and he said, Laurie, in my wildest imagination, I always prayed someone would write a poem for me. But I never expected anything like that. When I go to the hospital now for any procedure, and I'll say, I wrote the Whiny Hiney Blues, they're like, oh, you're the one. I said to him at one point, I said, because of my ass, you're going to be famous. So that's my funny poem. Thank you, Michael, for
The
that.
captain's cat?
No, I don't want to read the Captain's Cat. That was a children's, actually, that was it was Captain's Cat. It was in children's book. And it became one of my most famous poems because it was used in a workshop for kids for like 10 years. And it was a captain's cat he went to sea and took good care of mice. He sang his fine ship cowardly and sang his cat's advice. Keep rats below and gulls above, and mind we feed them hearty. Good eating they could always make, should they attend our party. Now cats are good for scrubbing decks, we have a scrubber's tongue. We force sea dogs to walk the plank, unless their chores get barked up. The captain had one fleshy leg, the other made of oak. He didn't try to show it off to plain land-loving folk, but his first mate, the captain's cat, still loved it just the same. He used it as a scratching post and sailed the Spanish Main. So that was a really early poem when I thought you had to always write in rhyme. Okay? So, anybody else?
Good.
If you could describe the feeling or emotion of your poems in one word, what would it be?
I'd like to say effervescent. But you guys aren't going to get that because I'm reading such sadness. But I want to think that it's like a bottle and it kind of shakes things up a little. And
Okay.
so thank you. That was a... Thank you, Lord, for giving me that word. Anybody else? You guys were great, and I do want to thank you all, and I also want to thank everybody for helping me out and everything you've done for me. You guys are the heroes in this, really. And I hope that you'll keep in touch, and I hope that you'll keep writing or reading or email me if you need anything at all. Okay?
And I want to thank Laurie again for all the time she spent with the students. And I had sort of the same question David had a minute ago, which I'm so glad he brought up, because I was going to say, when I read her poetry, that's what I think about, is how well read you are and how many she brought in classical figures, Christian figures, Celtic, the list could go on. And also the other thing she adds to the class is writing poetry, though. Introduction to Poetry is a class about reading poetry, not writing it. And so the students have had really such a great opportunity to work with you and write under you.
It was fun.
Thank you so much for
Yes.
that. And I want to invite everyone to stay around and have some refreshments and look at her books, purchase a book, have her sign it, okay? So don't run off. And thank you so much again.
Thanks again.
Okay.